and my brain was on fire. I saw like, it looked what like a lightning storm, literally a lightning storm within my brain of different one side of my brain just shooting over to the other side of the brain. It was just like yeah, best to describe it. It was a lightning storm within my brain. Right. And it felt warm and it felt good. And all of a sudden that, that stopped and I saw like where my brain was being healed. I don't know what other way to explain it, but I felt like, whatever parts of my brain were dead or not functioning right or whatever, whatever cells are not, alive or whatever, it was healing my brain.
Maro, maro, nande na he. Maro, maro, nande na he.
Hey, my brother Alex, welcome to Cuda Medicina.
Well, I'm glad to be here, Derek.
Oh, dude, I'm so stoked to talk to you today. We, Alex and I have been on quite a journey together over the last few years, and he has some exciting things to share about a journey that he took recently that is, I'm sure, going to blow all of our minds.
It blew my
So,
mind. It blew my mind for sure.
if you want to say anything about who you are, or if you want to just go into the episode and talk about the experience, it's all good.
I'll give a little Reader's Digest of myself and my journeys thus far. So started about 2.5 years ago. Psilocybin and MDMA. Moved on to ayahuasca, and that's been my number one source of medicine. Thereafter, I've done a lot of work, as you know. I've been really sticking with the medicine for very diligently, and it's done wonders for my lifestyle, my relationship with my wife, relationship with myself, my daughter. I mean, I have improved in really every possible way, and I couldn't be more thankful to the facilitators that do so, the tribes that I've sat with, you especially, Derek. You've been my guiding light and my strength. And, as I say, I aspire to grow up and be you one day.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much.
hmm So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah. So it's what we're here to talk about is my Iboga um, journey that I recently had. It's something that it's been in back of my mind for quite some time. Quite some time. I would say about close to 6 months when it first entered my that seed entered my mind, and I had some a revelation with our last Aya that we did back in late October, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and it basically there was a really big shift in something I've been holding on to and tackling for a greater part of my adult life, and since then, a lot of changes have been made. But I just, Iboga kept on calling me, and I think it was definitely the right time for me to embark on that.
Yeah. And let's talk a little bit about, you know, you have a deep relationship with ayahuasca. And what was it like to enter this new idea even of sitting with a different medicine? Like, what was your process? Did you talk to other people? Did you read about, like, how did you get to mm, think about this medicine as a possibility for you?
Well, I have done all of the above, talked to people, and watched every YouTube video on it, and that I you know, can find. But ultimately, it really comes down to a calling. The facilitators that I went with, they're familiar with ayahuasca. Obviously, they've done ayahuasca themselves. But unlike all the medicines, this one, when it calls you, and you really feel it. So I've again is a seed that I had maybe 6 months ago and flourish into something I knew needed to have. And really, again, the timing was impeccable. So, um, once I decided to do so, it was, I really signed up within a week or so. And next thing you know, I'm on a plane and embarking on my journey.
You wanna maybe tell people a little bit about, Iboga, the people that have never heard of it or don't know about it?
Absolutely, I'll tell you what I know. Well, and I like to, obviously your podcast does focus on ayahuasca and other medicines, but ayahuasca specifically. So, the best way to put it is the comparison of ayahuasca and iboga. They're both a psychedelic, and that is where it ends because they're completely different medicines. You can't compare psilocybin with ayahuasca and vice versa, or even bufo, but they're all within the same branch, if you will. And iboga's a different tree completely. Iboga is quote unquote the strongest medicine out there. It is the grandfather. It originates from Gabon, Africa. Um, w- Quick little side note or a really fun fact. So, the Gabonese people, they believe, as many tribes, I guess, would say the same, but they believe that humanity started, in their region. And, fun fact, if you look at, Pangea, when all the continents were put together. So if you kind of, if you look at the map where South America and Africa, how they split, coincidentally, Iboga and ayahuasca at one point were in the same region.
Wow,
Yeah,
wow.
fun fact. Yeah, so they believe that, one is a grandfather and one is a grandmother
Hmm,
plant. Yeah, so it comes, it's a root. It's not a vine. It is a root. Um, what else can I say? So it is a root. I can tell you how it was discovered if you'd like to know.
please,
Yeah. So the story goes, and this is from the shamans over there. They pass this story on through generations, obviously. So the story goes that a man went hunting one particular day, and there they don't use bows and arrows. They're trappers. That's how they hunt. They set traps. So one day he set traps. About 8 or 10 of them or so, and went out there and, in the morning set them and then came back in the afternoon just to see what he caught for the day. So most of them were empty and just one had something in it, which was a porcupine. Okay. Now that porcupine had been caught early on because you can tell, as the story goes, that it was actually digging through, trying to get out of the cage. So he took the porcupine. It was a bad day of hunting. Only caught one thing, obviously. So on his way home, there's a palm-looking tree in Gabon, and if you cut it, is basically wine. So he started drinking, got pretty drunk, got home, and just passed out. And before giving the porcupine to his wife, so wife decided to cook it up. She cooked it up and, ate it by herself and went into a full Iboga trip.
okay,
The next morning she wakes up and tells the husband, her husband, hey, this is what happened. And they went over to the shaman's house, and the shaman said, okay, so what happened? And she described everything, and she told him all I had is this porcupine to eat. Well, obviously, it's not the porcupine itself because they eat porcupines on a regular basis. So that the shaman said, "Oh, lead me to where you found it." So when they, took the shaman to the tree, it was actually under the trap was under a tree because of the shade, and they saw the trap and they saw the porcupine was trying to dig out, but in that hole was a root, and you can tell that it was, that he was eating it. The porcupine was eating the root. So they took a part of the root, and went back to the village, and they decided, okay, so who's going to try it? So the shaman didn't. The shaman didn't want to do it. He was like, "I'm too important here," So he made his wife try it. So fun fact: the first two people to ever take iboga were women. All
Hmm.
right, and so yeah, so they took it and had a full on trip, and that's where the origins of them taking iboga came from. Many many moons ago, obviously.
Amazing. Long live the porcupine.
There you go. Don't hug it.
Yeah. That's a beautiful story, man. I never heard that before.
Hmm.
So it's a root, it's psychedelic, obviously, and I assume they incorporated that into their traditions and their culture and their religion, and or maybe that's where the religion sprouted from. I'm not sure what how that all worked.
Well, they don't call it religion. It is a practice. So in fact, since you brought up religion, so in Gabon there are five different tribes that actually practice, iboga. Um, and I'm sure you've heard the story, which is out there, that to facilitate, be allowed to, provide or give iboga. You've heard the story where they would bury somebody, and that would be their initiation, right? Well, it turns out that is true, but only for one particular tribe, which is that's where really in the capital Gabon. That's where they practice that, and it's which is really odd. That's actually that side of that practice is actually Christian to a certain extent. So when the French colonized Gabon, because they did, that's the language they actually speak over there, French. Instead of killing their tradition, they actually made them adopt Christian values or Christian, teachings. So only in the capital do they do that, and they have more of a Christian, root or line. Everywhere else is more traditional.
Interesting. Kinda like Santo Daime with in Brazil, right? Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah.
So it's so again, it's not a religion. It's definitely a practice. They, they do it when it's a rite of passage. I believe it's about this, but about 16 or so is when they start. And they feel that you only really need it once. If you um, need in the future is, something major happen where you have fallen, to a bad trade or whatever it may be. But, in their culture is, you are fixed by doing Iboga once.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, they don't believe in the healing journey. They believe either you're healed or not. And if you do Iboga, then you are healed.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
Okay, let's shift to your experience and yeah, share. I'd like to know, what you were feeling and, what the ceremony's like and,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah,
all the
absolutely.
details, as many details as you can give.
All right. I'll give you as much as I can here. All right.
Yeah.
So let me start by saying this. So, I probably shouldn't have, but all I have to compare is, ayahuasca ceremonies. And I can say that they are completely different. So, one thing about, and again, I emphasize that, they're both psychedelics, and that's where their similarities end. That's where they start. That's where they end. They're completely different. So in ayahuasca, as the more medicine you take, the more you've done it, the higher you tend to go, right? And that's with whether it's psilocybin or ayahuasca or bufo. I mean, it's you go upwards. So Iboga is the complete opposite in the sense that it's inward. So their belief is that, your soul has always been and always will be. Therefore, it came from the source, and therefore you have all the answers within you. So instead of looking outward to the universe, you look into yourself and you have all the answers and all the knowledge um, within you. And so that's the whole theory. It's you don't go higher, you go low and deeper within
Mhm.
yourself. Okay. That said, the ceremony, the first night, first of all, I went there for 6 days. That was just yeah. I went there longer because I visited a friend early on and I stayed there thereafter. But the time they want you there is 6 days, and we only do two ceremonies, which I thought, wow, that's I can do three ayahuasca ceremonies in a row. But there is a reason, and believe me, I think you need the time. So their ceremony is really you sit around, around fire, and the facilitator or the shaman will really just ask questions. What do you here, to get out of the medicine, and really and really it's about asking questions, and it's their teachings, of how the medicine works, how their belief system. They are very, very straightforward. If they'll call bullshit when they when they hear it. All right, so it's not you're not there to get a bunch of love and light. There it's it's straight truth, and again, if they smell bullshit, they'll call you on it. So, which I appreciate, right?
Yeah, so
Um,
this is at the you haven't taken the medicine yet. You're
you
around
have
the
not.
fire. He's asking you questions. Okay,
Yeah. So,
cool.
we're on a fire and everyone's, taking their turn and, kind of just going over what the reasons are there for and what they want to get out of it and the questions, to some degree, the questions that you have. Because before you get there, you're told write down about, 5 to 10 questions that you have. And, they're going to be answered or they should be answered within, one of the two ceremonies that you're going to do. So you kind of go over the questions and again the intent of what you want to get out of it, and again they teach you that they go over their teachings and how what they believe. One thing that struck me about their belief, which I really hold on to, many of us, I am definitely guilty of that, and definitely have in the past, where I'm always thinking about the past or in the past and or the future. Rarely am I, in the present. And they have a belief system that the past is an illusion, and so is the future. So the only thing that is real is now. And to me, that resonated because I am guilty of that. That I either would look back to the past and great things or bad things that have happened, or look forward to the future where I'm not living my life now and not being grateful for what's the moment that I'm living today. So that's one of the things that really resonated with me of their teachings. Being the present, being now. In fact, to that point, I asked them, what is their belief in the afterlife? What is their belief in, in God and what happens, when we do pass? So in short, they don't think about it. They don't, that's not in there. They don't even have vocabulary. It's not in vocabulary to actually talk about, the afterlife or God. The only prayer that they pray is a word, thank you.
Amazing,
Amazing.
amazing.
Yeah. And, so it's not, but the whole point I'm trying to make is that they're really about the present, not the future, not what's going to happen now, is just, be in the moment. Unlike that's their number one teaching, just be in the moment. So going back to the setup of the ceremony, so we go through that. We talked for about maybe, I don't know, there was 8 of us that were taking the medicine. So it took about maybe 35, 40 minutes to get through, all of our intentions and whatnot. Then we finally took the medicine. So the medicine, again, Iboga is a root. And what they do is they scrape the bark off of it. And I actually saw them prepping for it. So it's, they actually, where I went, by the way, another point to be made is, a lot of times if you do research online or YouTube, most of the content you're going to find is on ibogaine, not iboga. Right? And then there's a huge difference. The ibogaine is an extract of the root. So the problem with that is that I won't necessarily call it synthetic, but it doesn't have, all the alkaloids that the actual root has. So, Iboga, well, has beyond ibogaine has 30 different, and they're still finding more, 30 different alkaloids that work in unison together and actually help each other out. So from what I'm told, obviously I've only done it once, but I've been told that the experience is different. And in addition to that, it is also safer than taking ibogaine by itself. So, and plus, they believe that, once you harvest the actual alkaloid, just the ibogaine, the medicine really loses its spirit. And just like ayahuasca, they are very, big on the actual spirit of the medicine. So, again, from what I'm told, it is definitely safer. And from experience, I can tell you that, they your brain, your mind, and your body are connected, obviously. So when your body feels that it had enough, then you purge, then you vomit, whatever you can't handle. So I think for that reason alone, I think I do tend to believe that it's safer. All right. Where was I? So that said, the ceremony after about 45 minutes ago, then we take the medicine and it's given to you in a spoon, in a pretty sizable spoon for that matter. They're like little balls, that are dried up little balls, and that put in your mouth. It tastes, as you would imagine, like like dirt and bark at the same time. So not the tastiest thing, but you chug it down and you kind of swirl a little bit of water and just down the hatch. So you do that, and I would say about 30 minutes later, then you're really starting to feel the medicine. So then we continue talking after we get the medicine in us, and then it's traditionally that then at that point we move on to the ceremony room. So we go on there. We lay down. There's no sitting; it's just laying down. We put get as comfortable as you can, and you put an eye mask on because you really want to have darkness to really feel the full effect of the medicine. So I went in there um, with one spoonful of medicine. Wasn't quite feeling it, so I took I took another one and another one and another one. So I ended up taking the first night different five spoonfuls. To give you an idea, most of the people did two or three. So I went up to five, and there's a reason for that. So, one thing I will say about Iboga, a lot of people will tell you that there's not, some people will have no visions whatsoever, and some people will. I definitely did, especially the second night, and I'll go over that in a second. But I with medicine, ayahuasca and others, what I do is, I always let the medicine, take me where it wants to take me, show me what it wants to show me. But I've done, ayahuasca enough to know how to kind of guide the medicine to go the route or the reasoning that I'm there for that particular ceremony night. So I did that with Iboga. I let it ride out as much as I thought it needed to. And then I said, okay, well, I mean, you basically had your turn now. Let's tackle what I'm here for. All right. One of the couple questions that I had. So I tried and I tried and I tried and I tried and it wasn't going. It wasn't going anywhere, to where I wanted to go. I think the closest sign that I saw is when I was asking for a particular answer or reasoning. I saw kind of if you can picture, and a lot of people say this, that the signage or what you see, and it's like 1940s, 1950s signage or cartoonage type, images. And I saw an anchor come down. On one side of the anchor was a little cartoonish devilish type creature, And then I saw a hand come down and kind of push it to the side. And that to me said, okay, we're going to get the devil out of you, basically, or something along those lines. So that's the closest I got to, any answer. Other than that, it just wasn't going for me. And that's why it took so much. So I thought, okay, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just not connecting with the medicine. Maybe I need more medicine. Hence the reason that I ended up taking 5 spoonfuls. And it just wasn't working for me. Like I really wasn't connecting. All right. So, in fact, I, I was pondering, I was tired of asking for answers. I finally gave up and I kind of touched my left hand and I was wearing the beaded, bracelet that you gave me, from ayahuasca. And then it hit me. I was like, wait a minute. Maybe he's not connecting with me because, I came in here and, with an ayahuasca, assemblage. And maybe just, I'm being disrespectful to the medicine. He doesn't want to connect with me. So that's what I thought. Now, another point to be made is, the ceremony, again, there wasn't much of it. All it was once we took the medicine was just lay there and then listen to music. If you have ever listened to the music, you know it is not easy. Not at all. So there's a particular instrument that they play. I think it's called the Nagobi, I think it's called, which is basically a harp with one or two different strings, and they play it. It makes a very distinct sound that was drilled, drilled into my brain. And I'm talking about drill. For some reason, and then later on I found out why. But the first night they really play certain type of music that is really, best way to put it. I mean, it's really meant to penetrate your brain, penetrate your skull, and that's exactly what it was doing. Like the last 45 minutes or so that we were there in the ceremony room, for some reason, the same song played over and over and over again. I was pulling my hair. It was, I mean, it was like drilling into my brain. I'm talking about just painful. I was like, wow, this is painful. And I'm not kidding. I mean, it's literally drilled into my brain over and over again. So there's a reason for that. So we were there a total of maybe 6 hours at the ceremony room, and eventually they led us back to our room and lay down. Still in medicine, obviously, because it does last about 24 hours. But at that point, we're just laying in our bed. Next morning, woke up, just didn't get much sleep. Slept maybe 3 hours, but woke up in afternoon and I was still on medicine. So, I go to we have kind of powwow, if you will, with the different people there, the facilitators, and I addressed the fact that I did not have a connection with the medicine, and I'm sure with ayahuasca, or in really just about every medicine, you feel the connection with the medicine. That you have that love for the medicine. The medicine has that love for you, and you feel it. Not Iboga. And this is not just my experience. I did talk to other people that were there in the ceremony that had experience with ayahuasca, and I asked them if they had that loving feeling or that connection. And same thing across the board. The 4 or 5 people that I asked, they didn't feel any connection or that type of connection. So I will say, and I mean it as respectful as possible. It is a cold medicine. It's not, and again, I mean that in the most respectful way possible. It doesn't have it's the grandfather. It doesn't, it tells you, you know, the good, bad, and ugly, and there's no hand holding or the like. So it is a very strict order medicine.
Just
So
going back to the ceremony room as you're there, not connecting with the medicine, like, what are you feeling? Are you feeling, "What am I doing here? And this is a waste of time." Like, what was kinda going through your mind in that point?
You're 100% right. That's exactly what I was doing. I was like, "What am I doing here?" I all this money. I spent time out of away from home, my family, my work. What am I doing? And in
Yeah.
fact, one of the girls that was there, I was talking to her the next morning, and she was like, "Absolutely not. It was a waste." I was like, she said, this is her words, "I would never recommend this place to anyone. I'm going to give them a 1-star rating." There was no connection. There was absolutely no connection. All right. But, that said, there is a reasoning for it.
Yeah, I
So
get it. So the shaman or the facilitators, are they in the room? They're not playing music. The music is recorded, I guess.
it is recorded. Yeah. So it's a live recording. It is also a live
Y
recording. It's
Oh,
so they yeah,
okay.
yeah, so they went to Gabon and have gone many, many times and actually do
Yeah,
the recording. You can
okay.
actually hear them in the background of the music, so it
Yeah,
is live recording. It's beautiful music, but it is very hard music. And yes,
yeah, no, I
they are in the room, but really what they're doing is, just making sure that, when we ask for more medicine, they'll give us more medicine, changing the puke buckets and just attending to us, just guarding
so
basically.
you're on your own the whole time. You're just like, it's your journey. No, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. You're just laying there and I'll tell you, just, when you have a lot of medicine, ayahuasca, like, when you have to go to the bathroom and it's, obviously you're kind of wobbly, whatever. So this is a different type of wobbly, per se. It really is more like you're seasick.
Mhm.
Like you're really like in rough waters, and then you're having a hard time seeing, hard time walking, and eventually, if you walk around enough, you're gonna start purging, because it's like being seasick. But yeah, most of the time you're just laying there, nothing else, and you're by yourself and just listening to that music.
Cool. All right, let's get to the now, so you're in your room. Did you when you were in your room the day after, are you so you're still in the medicine, but are you feeling anything special or like do you feel a little lightheaded? What's the difference between the feeling you had in the ceremony in the medicine and the feeling you had the next day by yourself?
Yeah, so, again, you wake up the next day at whatever time and you're still in medicine. I mean, you're having a hard time walking, even speaking really. You just, I don't think I'd said my first word until like 3 o'clock the afternoon. And you just kind of you eat a little bit, they'll bring some soup or whatever, something to your room, but you're just laying there most of the day, the next day after. As far as thoughts or images, one important point to be made about the difference between ayahuasca and Iboga is that, with ayahuasca, you're going to see the different, beautiful colors and shapes and it's the images are, very colorful and sometimes distorted. With Iboga, it's completely different. It's like they're crystal clear. One of the images that I got, which kind of goes back to a past life regression that I did. I was in early 1900s or late 1800s in some European country. I would say, I don't know where, but that same image basically came up during Iboga. And, I was walking down the street and I can see, like, I can make out the bricks, I mean, they were just crystal clear. They're kind of translucent per se, but crystal clear and they're not very colorful. They're, you know, black and white basically with color, but they're different. The images that you see are completely different.
Interesting.
Completely different, and that's the case with both nights. And I also kind of got feedback from the other participants there, and it was the same thing. It's not the same visual effects that ayahuasca does has.
Okay, let's get
Mm,
into number 2.
Okay, so before I get to number two, so let me
Oh,
tell you
yeah.
about yeah.
Whatever.
So we did a sharing circle, if you will, the next day on the afternoon before we started the next ceremony. And I told them, I was like, this is exactly what happened. I'm not, it's, they're very, very big on being straightforward. So I told them, like, I honestly didn't feel that I had a connection with the medicine. I don't think the medicine had a connection with me. and I really don't feel that I got much from it. I really didn't. So, they explained that nothing really happens the first night, and that's across the board. That's every single ceremony. Why? Because Iboga actually knows this is the first time you've taken Iboga. So what it does every single night, for every participant, is that all it does is removes old files. So all it's doing is deleting, files that, in your brain that you no longer need or no longer serve you or that are bad or, whatever it is. The first night, it's all about clearing your mind of junk files, if you will. Which, looking back at that, the ceremony and then the music I was drilling into my head, it it made perfect sense. So it's literally going in there in my brain and drilling out every single thought that I shouldn't have, every single, emotion or whatever that's tied to my brain. It literally all it did is delete files. And that, it's definitely what happened, not just with myself, but the other people that I asked. So it is a mind medicine. So that another, point that I want to make. So, ayahuasca, I believe it's really it's your soul. It's your it's very emotional. It's it's a lot of filled with love. Again, Iboga is very cold, and again, I mean that in the most respectful way. Um, but it's really about the brain. This medicine is really about the brain, and I'm not sure if you know, but it's there are studies that it's done wonders for people with Parkinson's. In fact, the facilitator was telling me that they've actually had experience with people who are autistic. Now, as you know, there's different levels of it, but the people that they admitted in their ceremony, I mean, they were autistic, but not, you know, not in a wider sense. But they've actually seen huge benefits in that. And any brain related issue, PTSD. I mean, it's any brain injury. Football players, after playing years in the NFL, have huge benefits from it. So it's really this medicine is about the mind and it's about the brain.
Cool.
Mhm. So now, moving on to night two. Yeah, so night two. Well, so I was also told by the facilitators, don't worry, the medicine knows what you're here for, and just trust that whatever questions you have, or whatever reason you're there for, they're going to be addressed. So, all I could do is trust, right? So I go in there, same thing. We start in, around the fire, more talking. Then we take the medicine, one scoop there. Then 30, 45 minutes later, we go on to the ceremony room and lay down. I start feeling it right away, but you know me, I like to go bold. So second spoonful, third spoonful, fourth spoonful, ended up taking like six, I think, the second night. So it's quite a bit. But right about the third one, I started. I started to get a bit frustrated in the sense that this is this last chance for me to address the reasons that I'm here for, or the questions that I want answered. And so about the third or fourth spoonful, I said, okay, again, you have your shot. Let's tackle what I'm here for. So it wasn't quite doing that. It wasn't at all, actually. But, right about the fourth spoonful, then I started really, really feeling the medicine. And, I will say the second night, the music, which was a lot softer, a lot better, it was, enjoyable to a large degree. So I started, seeing kinda visions. I started seeing but not visions with my eyes closed, but, actually visions when my eyes were open. And I started seeing shadows. And, I just had this idea. I was like, "Okay, let's try something." So, that technique where you put your fingers in your eyes and, to open up the third eye? I did it, and boy, did it open up my third eye. I started seeing a lot of different things. At one point, I took my blindfold or mask off, went to the right of my vision, and in my vision, I saw the room that I was in, but it kind of cut through this dimension and this layer, and I was actually able to see to the other side, to the other dimension, parallel dimension to us, and it was gorgeous. It was, like the Himalayan mountains, but they were all red and beautiful fog and beautiful, green trees at the bottom. But I was able to see, like, focus on that side of it, and also focus on the side that I was here. I saw beings and creatures, mystical creatures. I saw this, and by the way, they, again, they're not cartoonish. They're not like colorful like ayahuasca. They're literally like the people are like seeing you in person. The only difference is that you're translucent, sharp lines, but there's one particular being that was next to me, and as far as I can tell, they really aren't used to people acknowledging them. So when it noticed that I saw him or it, kind of turned to the left, and he had a cape on. He took the cape and put it across and then put it right close to my face, to the point, Derek, that I took a big smell, just like, and I can smell the fibers.
Mm.
I can literally smell the fibers, of that robe or cape, whatever he had. I had another being, like this mystical creature, looked like a rhino without the horns, and with a body of a tiger, and it's beautiful things. There was this bear looking creature, that, came so close to me, that to towards my neck, that I can feel its breath, on me.
Mm.
I mean, it was incredible. And I saw, I looked around in the room, and I saw them actually, the room was full of beings, and some I saw coming down from the heavens, if you will. And, it hit me like, as or one of our teachers, I'm not sure if I should say it, no, her name here, but says that when we're doing medicine, we really attract, beings into the ceremony room. It's like, they know there's a party going on, and, they're they're coming down to party with us. So it was
Did
amazing.
they feel benevolent, or what kind of energy did you feel from them
Mhm.
as in the room?
Well, in the room, I mean, it's, there's this beautiful, I mean, there's all kinds. I mean, there was this beautiful black lady that from the region, you could tell from Gabon. And she was just there, and kind of like just, and I knew that it was real, and very real. They weren't there just, they were there to party, if you will, but, they were also cautious of us, because I looked to my neighbors as they were laying down, like they weren't walking through people. They were like purposely walking over, not to step on them. It was, that detailed. But no, they were, the energy was good. There was no like evil or bad energy. I think only at one point there was one that it came to me, and, it started looking at me, and it got closer and closer and closer. And at the very end, it tried to scare me, if you will. And all I did was just sit there and smile, and then it then it laughed, and then they went away. But, again, what the feeling that I got is that they weren't, they really aren't used to being acknowledged or seen, and the fact that we were seeing them, especially I, and then I'll tell you about my neighbor, in a second, but they weren't used to being acknowledged and seen on a regular basis. So to them, I it was joy.
And you've never had that experience on ayahuasca?
Never. Never, 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 never. And again, it's not, in ayahuasca, I'll have visions when my eyes are closed, and I'm just, within the medicine. This is like real. I mean, this is like, my eyes are wide open, and I'm seeing, my neighbors to the left, my neighbors to the right, participants in the ceremony, and I'm seeing all his beings. And, I'll skip ahead a little bit, but I know that it wasn't just me. So after they took us to our room in the second ceremony. So I was still seeing his beings. So I'm laying there and I'm sharing a room with, with another guy. And, I'm seeing the beings and he's laying, to the left of me. And I'm seeing these creatures in the air. And all of a sudden I see him, going like, what the fuck? What the, just like, get off me, get off me, get off me. So it's he saw the being, I saw the being, so it's a shared real vision here.
Mm,
And then I told him that, don't fight it. I was like, just, 'cause he's very new at medicine. I told him, don't fight it. They're not gonna hurt you. Um, they're, just acknowledge them, but they are gonna go away and just trust that they're not there to hurt you. And after, a couple minutes, then, that he settled down and, the whatever we're seeing actually ended up going away. So it wasn't just my visions. We were sharing the same vision with my neighbor and they were there.
I have no doubt they were there.
Mhm.
No doubt, brother, my brother.
Yeah.
Welcome to the fun side of the medicine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But
Yeah.
again, it's just the way just they were crystal clear, just translucent beams, sharp lines. I can smell their clothing. I can feel their
Mhm.
breath. I mean, they were definitely there.
So
Um,
before this happened to you, what was your view about the spirit world? Did this change something for you?
Absolutely did. And again, I've seen visions obviously through ayahuasca, but they're completely different. Like the
When your
visions.
eyes are open, it's a whole different ballgame.
Exactly. And again with ayahuasca, it's the visions are within the medicine. They're within your mind and the medicine. This
Mm.
is, yes, you are medicine, but it's your eyes are open. You're seeing the quote unquote real world, and you're seeing those beings and entities.
It
Um,
it can happen on ayahuasca too. That
yeah.
happens to me quite a bit. Yeah, yeah.
I the it's again it's and I've seen beings in ayahuasca too, but they're just they look different. They feel different. It's again,
Mm.
it's you're seeing another person, just it's translucent and they're different. But you know, again, it's just it's that's the best way to describe it. They look different, they feel different.
Nice.
Mhm. So now let me go into towards the end. So I took again, ended up taking about I think I took after that, I've seen everything. I took another dose of medicine. Ended up again taking six spoonfuls that the second ceremony. So after all that, I'm like, I gave you all this time, medicine. Please let's tackle what I'm here to tackle and my answers or my questions, answers to my questions. So I asked over and over again, please, please, pretty please, any way I can get it to listen to me and then address what I was there for. So after pleading for a while, a couple minutes. The last time I did, a couple minutes went by, maybe 2 3 minutes at most, and all of a sudden, Derek, I felt this warmth in my head,
Mm.
and I take my left hand for some reason and just raise it, and I see like little dots of light hitting the palm of my hand. So I'm doing that. And I was like, is there light coming out of my head? And I was like, oh, shoot, it is. It really was. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. So the, then all of a sudden, my vision, my mind, my sight was on my brain. I was like inside my skull and actually seeing not a cartoonish image of my brain, but a realistically view of my brain. And my brain was on fire. I saw like, it looked like a lightning storm, literally a lightning storm within my brain of one side of my brain just shooting over to the other side of the brain. It was just like a yeah, best to describe it. It was a lightning storm within my brain, right? And it felt warming and felt good. And all of a sudden, that stopped, and I saw like where my brain was being healed. I don't know what other way to explain it, but I felt like, whatever parts of my brain were dead or not functioning right, or whatever cells are not, alive or whatever, it was healing my brain. I mean, it was the most amazing thing because I'm watching this, and then all of a sudden, I start feeling like this warmth in back of my, like the upper back of my back, then starts moving up slowly, back of my neck, my skull, and all of a sudden, like, there's this fury of energy around my brain. I mean, it's just like just massive energy of light, of reddish, bluish, greenish light, just like completely surrounding my brain. And it lasted for a couple minutes, and after that, after a couple minutes, just went up to the heavens,
Wow.
and I felt completely changed. Like, and this is all happening when my eyes are opened. And then, I was like, wow, 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 wow. Then I actually closed my eyes and I felt like I'm in this tunnel. And I said to myself, like, I've never felt more free. I literally said, I'm a different human. I'm a different man. I'm a different person. Like, it literally, I felt completely different. I still do. And I still do. Since the ceremony, my vision's better. I just have a lot more clarity. I'm able to focus more. I feel my brain, everything feels lighter. It literally changed my brain.
Amazing. Thank you,
Yeah,
Iboga, for healing my friend.
absolutely, absolutely. And again, I emphasize this medicine. It really is not so much about the soul, but for some reason, it really focuses on your mind, on your brain. Again, this is why it's so good for Parkinson's and brain injuries and different, PTSD and anything that's brain related, mind related issues. It does wonders. There's some people in there in the group that I was with. I'm sure that it's really good for drug addictions, methadone, cocaine, meth itself. There's a couple of different people addicted to different things. And, I saw a huge, huge change in them. One of the guys I was talking to just before I got there, 2 days, according to him, hopefully it wasn't the same day, but he was doing blow 2 days earlier. Again, methadone, which if you know anything about that drug, it's really hard to kick, and the withdrawal symptoms are just brutal, brutal. So I saw it firsthand of people who were addicted to heavy drugs and who, once you stop and the withdrawal symptoms are horrible, and they were perfectly fine, after taking
Amazing.
medicine.
Amazing. It's beautiful, man. I'm so glad you went. How
Bill,
do you
so
yeah, how
I mean, let me add one more thing. So all of this,
okay, yeah.
so everything sounds amazing, but I can tell you it was not fun. I much rather be listening to Icaros and and doing hape and being served hape and all the beautiful things that come with
Um,
ayahuasca ceremonies. So this was not fun and it was not easy. So it
so we
is
didn't lose you to Iboga for
no, no. But I'm not signing up for next weekend. No, you have not.
uh,
But, it is, and, let me also add something here. I feel it's responsible for me to say this on your podcast. So, yes, it is safe. I never felt that I was unsafe before I even went or was allowed to attend. I did have to have a panel for blood to make sure. And what they really look for is that you make sure that your liver levels are good, and they require an EKG. to make sure that your EKG scanned to make sure that your heart can take it because Iboga does take your heart rate down to a certain level where it can be dangerous. So before attending, again, tested my liver and different blood panel and EKG. Obviously, everything was good. Before we even start the ceremony, the first night they do an EKG scan there, so that they really make it safe. Um, that said, I think that it is responsible for me to say that there is a small portion of people that unfortunately do pass during taking Ebola.
Yeah. Yep. It was their time. If they went out like that, it was their time.
Yeah, I'm
Glad
sure
I'm glad it wasn't your time, my
he
brother.
was. Yes, I'm glad it was
Yeah.
me. I'm glad I'm here talking to you right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you
but
feel you address the issue that or the issues that went there with, the questions?
absolutely. I ultimately took about 10 questions with me. Not every
Okay.
single one of them, got addressed, but the main ones, certainly the main reason I went there, absolutely. More than anything. And again, I feel lighter. I feel more focused. No anxiety. It's whatever thoughts of depression or anything else, completely gone. I really everything that I really my main issue that I went there for definitely got tackled. And again, it's all about the brain. And I can't emphasize enough this medicine, Iboga, does focus on your brain, starting with the first night deleting old junk files. I literally got a hardware upgrade. But to do that, you got to remove all the old junk files. And that's exactly what
Mm,
the medicine did the first night. And that experience that I told you about, my brain being on fire and being, you know, a, a lightning storm within it and healing and everything else. Yeah, it definitely did that. And I definitely feel different.
amazing, brother.
Mhm.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this story. It's, so inspiring, you taught us a lot. Is there anything you wanna say as, departing words to the community listening?
Well, I will emphasize that, I did not take the journey lightly. I was, concerned. I was scared to some degree, nervous to some degree, but I knew that for me, anyways, it was a pivotal time for me to embark in that. Um, I think if it is for you individually, you will know, you will feel it. And yeah, if I could be of any help or guidance, I would be more than happy to do so. And hopefully, I gave some guidance here within the show. And I'm just happy to be here to share my experience. And I can tell you that it does work. And, you know, I won't, I'm not signing up next week for it, but uh, perhaps in the future, maybe I will. But looking forward to ayahuasca, though.
Yes, we all are. Thank you
oh,
so much, brother. Yeah,
oh, one final thing.
yep,
So, yeah, one final thing. So, on the ayahuasca topic, uh, so after you do Iboga, we are told that we should not do any medicine that has a spirit for at least 3 to 6 months.
okay.
Yeah, so I'm out for
You're
3 months.
definitely on the 3-month side of that
Oh,
equation, aren't you?
wait. I am counting down that day.
Yeah, alright. Well, I
Yeah.
look
Well,
forward to
by the way,
sitting with you.
this includes hot air, so it's
Yeah,
tough.
that's what I thought. No combo, no hape, no
Yeah,
nothing with spirit, yeah. Ah,
exactly.
it's good to take a break.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Look forward to it.
Alright, my brother.
Hey, brother,
Lots of
thank you
love.
for having me. Thank you for having me
You're
and
welcome.
allowing me to share.
Of course. How's
My man.
how's.
Oh, gosh. Thank you, brother.
Thanks for listening. Really enjoyed having you today, part of this journey. I'm so grateful that you're here. Please leave a review and hit that subscribe button. Would love to continue this journey with you. So grateful for everyone that listens, sends me feedback and emails. Wishing you a wonderful day. Hausch, hausch.
The jaguar walks with me in shadow and light, golden eyes piercing through the endless night, whispers of leaves sing ancient truths unseen. Oh, Jaguar, guide me. Oh, spirits abide through the jungle of stars where the soul won't hide. Plants, they teach me their wisdom wide. The jaguar walks by my side. Roots dig deep where the stories unfold. The vines wrap secrets in whispers bold. The universe hums its mysteries untold. Open the mind, let it drift, let it glide. Follow the pulse where the cosmos collide. Oh, Jaguar, guide me. Oh, spirits abide through the jungle of stars where the soul won't hide. The plants, they teach me their wisdom wide. The jaguar walks by my side. The drumbeat echoes, a heart in the stone. Guides of the ages, I am never alone. Searching for truth in the web of the skies. The spirit within me, it never lies. Oh, Jaguar, guide me. Oh, spirits abide through the jungle of stars where the soul won't hide. The plants, they teach me their wisdom wide. The jaguar walks by my side. The drumbeat echoes, a heart in the stone. Guides of the ages, I